John had never believed in hell. It seemed like a distant concept, one that he could never be touched by. But as he slowly opened his eyes and surveyed his unfamiliar surroundings, he felt his stomach hollow with fear. It was dark, the air heavy with an oppressive heat. He could not see the walls, nor the ceiling, but he knew where he was. He had woken up in hell. John stumbled around in the darkness, driven by an urge to find a way out. A faint light appeared in the distance, and John felt an irrational hope swell inside him. He trudged towards it, desperation and terror mingling in his heart. As he stepped closer to the light, he noticed something strange. Specific images and sounds began to materialize around him. He was no longer alone in the darkness. He could see the faces of people he had known in life. Every single one of them were mired in torment and despair, their faces twisted into masks of suffering. Walls of fire rippled around them, and howls of pain filled the air. John watched in horror as their screams echoed around him. He wanted to close his eyes and shut it all out, but he couldn't move. He was rooted to the spot, just like the others who were doomed to suffer in this eternal prison. John could feel an unseen presence, an intangible force of pure evil. He felt its presence like a heavy weight, threatening to crush him and anyone who stood in its way. Time seemed to stand still and the air began to thicken with dread, enveloping them all in its oppressive darkness. Suddenly, John felt a cry of rage and terror come from deep inside him. He had no control over it and it seemed to echo through the eternal prison. He had given in to the fear, and his fate was sealed. He was here, in hell, for the rest of time. He woke up screaming in terror. He was back in his own bed and it was still dark outside. He had no recollection of how he got there, or what had happened in the darkness of the night. But one thing was certain: John knew he had been to hell, and he could never unsee what he had seen there.